some room if the jacket needs to be inflated.
This is Rogers TV, London.
So let's start by meeting the candidates. They are from Wards 7 and 8, so I will make sure to make it clear to you which ward each candidate is running in so that there is no confusion. So starting on the far side, we have Matt Reed running in Ward 8. Next to Matt, we have Bill Dowdy, also running in Ward 8. Tarik Khan running in Ward 8. And Marina Hernandez in Ward 8. Going to the back row, for Ward 7, we have Josh Morgan. And also for Ward 7, Joka Lenko. And for Ward 8, Osama Ali. And Moon Intabong, also for Ward 8. So those are your candidates this evening. So here is the format for tonight's event. We will start with opening statements, and each candidate will have 1 minute just to introduce themselves and give an opening statement. Following that, we'll move through a series of key topics, and each candidate will have up to 2 minutes to present on that topic. Now, these have been provided in advance, so you can expect some really detailed, thoughtful presentations from the candidates. We won't have any rebuttals. They will just be presentations at the podium for your information. Following that, we will take questions from the crowd, of course, time permitting, and Andrew will be running around with the microphone. So if you have a question, please hold it in your mind. When we get to that stage, I will let you know, and you'll be able to raise your hand and ask a question of the candidates, and they'll have a minute to answer those questions as well. So without further ado, I think it's time to get started. I would like to invite Matt Reed up to the podium to give his opening statement.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for coming out and trying to get involved in the democratic process here. My name is Matt Reed, and I am proud to say I'm a lifelong Londoner. I went to elementary and secondary school here, and I did my undergrad at Western. I did my law degree at Ottawa, and I'm currently a lawyer here in London, but I'm also the chair of the Thames Valley District School Board, which many of you know is a $1 billion school board with over 8,200 employees and 78,000 students. So what I'm hoping to do is take that experience that I have both as a lawyer and as the chair of the board and really bring that to City Hall and utilize, the background that I have in order to help, the residents of Ward 8, but the City of London as a whole. It's very important to me that I listen to you and I advocate strongly for you, but it's also important that, when there's a concern that I work with staff in order to rectify those concerns as quickly as possible. So that's about all I can do in about a minute. I look forward to hearing your questions, and if you have any, questions or want to learn more, go to mattreed.ca. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Miigwech, thank you. And thank you for taking the time in your busy lives to be here tonight. I thank Rogers for putting on this town hall meeting and everyone here for coming out, taking time out of your busy schedules. My name is Bill Dowdy. I was born and raised in London. I've lived here for over 50 years. I've lived in just about every ward. Julie and I have 3 adult children, a grandson, and one on the way. I've worked for a major employer in town here for over 30 years. The last few years, I've worked on my own business ventures. I'm also an advocate for social well-being. I've worked with London and District Labour Council on social issues, from women's issues to poverty to everything you can think of from A to Z. There are a lot of issues. You hear about the big ones, the BRT, but there are many issues and they all affect everybody. Inclusion, diversity, the environment. We need to include them all when we do our budget, but most of all, everyone is equal and we must treat everybody equally, and we will move forward that way. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Bill Dowdy for Ward 8. Next is Tarik Khan, also for Ward 8.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tarik Khan. and I'm running from Ward 8. Good governance in any municipality is heavily dependent on close coordination among city council, city corporate, and the advisory committees. In my whole life, right now I'm retired. I served at key management positions in city management, sometimes as deputy city manager, sometimes as city manager, and sometimes as chief of staff for the mayors. The last city I managed as a city manager, it was over 6.3 million. So I understand the problems with the City of London. And since last 6 years, 2012, I'm also volunteering on the City Council as a voting member on City Advisory. And I have served in 2012, 2015 as a member at large for Environment Advisory Committee. Then I was elected and selected by the City Council to represent myself on TAC, is a Transport Advisory Committee. Then in 2015, 2016,
Thank you, Tarik. I'm sorry, that is your time. Thank you very much. Next is Marina Hernandez for Ward 8.
Thank you all for being here tonight. My name is Marina Hernandez. I'm running as a candidate for City Council in my home ward because I want to make sure as a Ward 8 resident that our voice on City Council is strongly represented. My commitment to making our city a city that has a brighter and bigger future is deeply rooted in the love and the gratitude that I have for a city that has been such a big part of me for the last 24 years. I'm fortunate to work for a wonderful organization that was founded here in London but serves children nationally. So we grant dreams for children living with severe physical disabilities and life-threatening illnesses across Canada. When I'm not busy working on making dreams come true, you'll find me volunteering throughout our city, supporting events behind the scenes that create impact for our city. Ward 8 has a lot of strengths, and I'd like to continue to build on those strengths. We also have different issues than other wards, and I want to make sure that those issues are addressed on City Council so that once our issues are addressed, we can continue to meaningfully contribute to the city that we love to call home. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Next is Josh Morgan for Ward 7.
I don't usually have to put the microphone up. So my name is Josh Morgan. I am the current councillor for Ward 7, and I'm running for re-election. 4 years ago, I stood here and asked for your support and promised you results in Ward 7, and I believe I've delivered on that promise. I've respected the office of councillor and set a high ethical standard. I have moved motions that have lowered tax increases, implemented efficiency targets, and lowered debt levels. I empowered residents to have a greater say over their own neighborhoods through implementing new programs like neighborhood decision-making and the Small Events Fund, and providing greater access to things like movie nights and equipment rentals for community groups. I work to make our schools safer by installing new pedestrian crossovers, park connections, lane markers, lower speed limits, and participating in school travel plan committees. I stood up for you and challenged the political and administrative leadership in our city when it was needed. It has been my great honor to serve you for the past 4 years, and I hope to earn your support to do it again on October 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Next is Joka Lenko, also running for Ward 7.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you, folks. I'm Joka Lenko, and on October 22nd, I am asking for your vote to be councillor in Ward 7. I'm a lifelong resident of London. I met my wife here. We are raising our 3 kids in the heart of Ward 7. Tonight, you're going to be hearing a lot about bus rapid transit. BRT is a symptom, actually, of a greater problem all London is facing, and that is a council that is not listening to you as the residents of this city. Londoners have voiced their priorities to me as I've walked down my street and through my neighborhood. We want focus on vital infrastructure in this city. We want community safety and public health to get the attention it deserves. We want a better traffic and transit plan. on October 22nd. I'm Joka Lenko, and I'm asking for your vote. Councillor for Ward 7, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next is Osama Ali for Ward 8.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time, for being here. And thanks for my family, friends, and all the audience to come show up in this evening. My name is Osam Ali. I'm very honored to running for the city councilor in Ward 8. I'm living in London West more than 10 years, and I'm calling my London is my home. Also, I'm a family guy. I'm a husband, I am father with 3 kids, and raising them, and I'm trying to keep them here in London, Ontario. My background and experience in 3 important sectors. In healthcare, I worked at hospitals and is still working for the Ministry of Health divisions, building effective systems and policies to help people in needs, improve the processes and save lives. And in education, I taught at Western as I'm pursuing my PhD. This is my final years, and next month I will go to the defense in the engineering department. Also, I am part-time professor at the Financial College, and I know the value of the education for the residents and for the people. Because with the education, we have to be passionate how to teach the students, and you have to give from your heart all the information they needed to be successful in the workplace.
Thank you, Osam. I'm sorry, that is your time. Thank you. And Moon Intavong running for Ward 8.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Moon Intavong, and I am passionate about London. I've lived here my whole life. I had my first love, my first crush, my first everything here. I'm very proud to be an ambassador to the City of London. I have 4 beautiful children that have blessed me with 3 gorgeous grandbabies. I know I don't look like it, but it's the rice. What can I say? But I just wanted to acknowledge that it takes a lot of courage and intelligence and compassion to be a city council and to run for this election. And I definitely have all those. My background is in social services and addictions community engagement. I've worked with London Housing Advisory Committee in the City of London as well. I've been employed by the highest service providers in the City of London, and I've been out there on ground zero looking and seeing what's needed. We are seeing a lot of need for more affordable living, not affordable housing, but just affordable living, social supports and services, and that really concerns me a lot as a humanitarian as somebody who really, really loves and adores the community. So it is my hope that I think that City Council does need a social services lens representative on their council, and I can be that. So please, October the 22nd, vote for Moon.
Thank you, everyone. That minute goes very quickly. These candidates will be working hard tonight to address all these issues in a short period of time, and we're going to try and move along quickly. So I will mention as well, there were 3 candidates running in Ward 8 who are not here this evening. Noor Hamid, we were expecting, and she is not here, unfortunately. Steve Lehman in Ward 8 was unable to attend, and Matthew Greer in Ward 8 declined to attend. So unfortunately, they won't be here this evening. So let's get started with our first big topic. It is probably the hottest topic in this election, BRT. The Bus Rapid Transit project is the largest in London's history. The price tag is about $500 million, and it has been extremely controversial for this council and will be for the next term of council moving forward. So I would like to hear from each of the candidates here today. Do you support BRT? Why or why not? And if not, do you propose an alternative? And we'll be starting this time with Bill Dowdy. Bill, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Christine. As she said, BRT, Bus Rapid Transit. That's all you hear. Big topic. Do we want to put all our money into one thing? Do we want to risk? The concept is good, but I am against it, and I'll tell you why. It's the cost. With the new provincial government, I'm really scared that they will not ante up for the cost of this project, nor has the federal government committed a true figure. We're talking up to $750 million. That's a lot of money, folks. And we may have to give up a lot of other things to get there, which I don't agree with. Like I said, the concept is good. I'm all for better bus service, the LTC. The city's growing. We need new routes. We need people to get to hospitals. They can't afford to drive a car. Older people. Western, Fanshawe. Our main corridors. We need better service. We have a great bus system. Let's build on it. And getting back to that cost, how do you tell people who have cancer or need a hip or a knee replacement, waiting years, that we're going to spend $750 million, if not $1 billion by the time we're done, that they can't get their health services? Could you imagine? Cancer doesn't wait. I know many elders that have been waiting for hip surgery, knee surgery, very painful. They worked all their lives. We need good health care. Also, when we start digging...
Sorry, Bill, that is your time for BRT.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Next is Tarik Khan for Ward 8.
Thank you very much. How can I is my timing start? Oh, yes, okay, sorry. How can I favor a project which has divided Londoners? Yes, we do need improvement in infrastructure. Yes, but the project which has divided Londoners, I cannot support. BRT in its present form, I call it SRT. It's a student rapid transit because it starts from Western and focus on Fanshawe. From Ward 8's perspective, from where BRT started, will start is Wonderland and Oxford, from where my ward is finishing. My ward is starting. From my ward's perspective, I don't see any feeder services or the paratransit services, so I don't understand how my residents from the Sarnia Club, Hunt Club area, Oak Ridge area, and Huntington, they will walk in the winter to take the BRT. There's another myth that it will boost the economy. Just look at the completion time. It is 8 years, and it will go very easily to 10 years. And these 8 years will be full of dust, debris, and the detour. And you can imagine the business loss, economic burden the businessman will face along the routes. My vote is no to BRT, but yes on funding. Because this funding is from the federal government and the provincial government. It is for the transit infrastructure improvement in the City of London. So we should say no to the BRT design, and we can optimize this design, but we should say yes to the funding. And also, we should isolate two other very major things from BRT, that is the signals, traffic signals, and the road widening. And keep...
Sorry, Tarik, that is your time. Thank you. Marina Hernandez for Ward 8.
Thank you. I personally do not support the BRT plan in its current form, and the reason for this is that right now it feels like an incomplete plan to me. And this is what I'm hearing when I'm coming to the doors of my neighbors in Ward 8. it's not addressing a lot of the other issues that are in people's minds. So for our ward, for example, there are a number of services that don't run through our ward. So if someone is trying to go to work, for example, up until 2 years ago, I used to take the transit. And I don't particularly enjoy driving because we're driving down our roads, and I don't know if any of you drive down Oxford or down Wonderland, but at rush hour, it's, you know, it takes you 45 minutes to get somewhere that can normally take you about 20 minutes. Our city has grown. We need better roads, yes. And BRT sets the plan for this, but not at that price tag, not when we're not seeing expanded services, not when we're not seeing infrastructure for cyclists, not when we're not seeing the infrastructure coming into our cities at a pace that is going to serve us now. We have to think of the future. Are we going to spend $500 million on a project that is not being fully transparent? We're seeing it in other cities where there were no allocations made for potential lawsuits. And now they're coming. Where is that additional money going to come? If we make promises to other providers in the city or other areas about, you know, whether it's our partners about building, you know, fixing infrastructure at Western, we have to work with them. And they're not yet on board. So that, to me, says that there are still a lot of unanswered questions. And we have to make decisions as council that are financially responsible. And BRT, as it stands right now, is not one of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. For Ward 7, Josh Morgan.
So this is a tricky one for me. For those who know, my other job is being employed at Western University. And as you may also know, the current BRT plan contemplates routes going through Western University, as well as significant capital upgrades like an $11 million bridge, potential tunnels, and 15 points of negotiation with my employer. As a councillor, I stood in front of 800 people when I was sworn in, and I swore an oath of office to uphold that office with integrity, and I'm required to follow the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. And on the advice of our Integrity Commissioner, he has advised me that because of the Act, I am not able to use my influence as a councillor one way or the other on the BRT project, which is why I have not voted on any major component of the project, not on the master business plan, not on submitting the funding to government, not on the final business case. I voted on very few things and nothing of significance. And that is because if I don't, or if I do and I use my influence, I will break the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I can be taken to court, and any votes that I participated in can be thrown out. So it is incredibly frustrating for me to listen to my constituents and their concerns about the project and not be able to comment on it one way or the other. I have voted on a couple of things related to BRT. I voted on the other routes, not the northern route. I voted against those routes, and my rationale I gave was I thought we needed to slow down, we needed to listen to the concerns, and that was about as far as I could go at that time. And will continue to follow our ethics rules, and it will continue to be a frustrating experience for me through this election, and I hope that my constituents understand the position I'm in and that I am acting with integrity when I say I cannot comment one way or the other on or vote on the current BRT plan. So, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Also for Ward 7, Joka Lenko.
Thank you. BRT is, like I said, a symptom of a bigger problem. We have a city council that is not listening to the majority of Londoners on this issue. I'm a lifelong resident of London, and I can tell you, from all 40 years of my life in this city, this will be the single most disruptive project any single council has advanced. This project will bankrupt businesses, it will create traffic chaos, 8 years of construction minimal, and it will disrupt lives and neighborhoods. This council is ignoring the very real human impacts BRT will cause. If you're a business owner, you know you can make it through 1 year of construction, but your profits are lost. 2 years and you're talking to the banks about loans. 3 years you're thinking of moving or closing your doors. Think about the increased commute times and the bus delays during the entire 8 years of construction. I was at a Transit Tuesday one of these meetings they have at the Central Library. There was an older couple from just a neighborhood adjacent to where the Wellington corridor was planned. They were listening to the plans and they realized what every one of us realizes. In a construction zone, the traffic that's going down the road, usually on Wellington, is now going to come into your neighborhood. The man literally collapsed in a chair beside me as he realized, I've got to sell my dream home. I'm not going to be able to get out of my driveway to go to the pharmacy. I'm not going to be able to get out of my driveway to go to the hospital or to get groceries. BRT is a big, ridiculous tax. Kitchener-Waterloo recognized this. Tax rates went up by 13% as they implemented their mass transit strategy. BRT doesn't actually advance any of the current service gaps we face in this city. Residents in Ward 7 along Sunningdale have to walk 30 minutes to Masonville Mall just to get on a bus. We know the industrial park in Southeast London gets no bus service when their employees need to be at their bosses or at their employer's job. Meadowbrook Business Campus has no bus service. People are walking 30 minutes to these highly industrialized areas of London with lots of jobs. They can't actually take the bus to their jobs.
Thank you, Joe. That is your time. Next is Osam Ali for Ward 8.
So, BRT, if it's not now, when? So I have heard from people in favor for BRT and others against. But the reality is most riders getting hardship with the current LTC system. With provided provincial and federal funds that might be dedicated for this project, we can improve our current transportation infrastructure and works with everyone, with all the parties. London is a growing city and we need to have a better transit system in place. We are a city of more than 10,000 students from university and college. In each year, alongside with thousands of new graduates working in London. In addition to, we are getting more than thousands newcomers settling in London as well. To accommodate this population growth, we have to have transportation system that works for people and move them throughout the city in an efficient and comfortable way. I think London needs a rapid transit, sooner or later, such as a BRT project or similar, which is for sure, this is not a perfect project. Needs more communication with residents and LTC to modify the feeder routes to the integrated in efficient way. London City LTC is falling behind. Other cities, especially, we have no expressway or rapid transit. The challenge are, city needs to work more with the business owners, impacted neighborhoods, and developers to mitigate the risk of the roads construction and traffic congestion during this 8 years of projects. But the results, if we talk about the result is we are widening the Western Road, and we are widening the Warrencliffe, and also we are putting this money coming from the provincial and federal to the infrastructure, improving our infrastructure in London.
Thank you, Osam. That is your time.
Thank you.
Moon Intavong for Ward 8.
Wow, that ugly word BRT, right? It's like the S word for snow. Sorry, guys. I just had to lighten up the mood there. It's a huge controversy, as you guys know. I just want to keep in mind, everyone, please, with this debate, don't let this be the only factor in deciding who you're going to pick as a city council for your next Ward 8 or Ward 7. Okay, there's a lot of other pressing issues. And the reason why I stand with the BRT as it is right now is because it was a green option for me. It made sense going with that. It's a reduction in diesel emissions, improving the quality of air. I also want to acknowledge too that there are this whole plan has been 20 years in the making, and for the next city council, it should be, we're talking about progressive things and moving forward. There's been a lot of things that haven't been actioned. This has been like 20 plus years of not being actioned, and it's moving forward. And I believe that when we elect the leaders to make those tough decisions for us, we also need to trust them and work with them too as well, knowing that they are making the tough decisions and they are the experts at it. I would suggest to leave this alone for the next city council, because there's just so many working parts and integral policies and things that are going behind. So to really make an opinion or say anything now will just do it injustice and not moving the plan forward. So I know for a fact that for Ward 8, we want to do an economical stimulus. So one of the things that we're talking about is just having a dedicated bus route to Hyde Park area where there's, you know, more need for employment, and so have longer hours for buses so people can get there on time and have more options for employment and stuff. So
thank you, Moon.
Sorry.
Don't apologize. 2 minutes goes very quickly. Next is Matt Reed for Ward 8.
Okay, well, thank you. Not going to be too much of a shock. Most of us are, have great concerns with BRT, just like most Londoners, I would say. I, in the current plan, cannot support BRT, but I do want to recognize that there has been a lot of work that has gone into this plan, and there are actually aspects when you dive into it that I think most of us would agree would be beneficial for everyone. So I think we all can agree to the philosophy that we want better transportation in London, not just for transit users, but for us who drive or take bikes or walk. And in the plan, there are aspects that help everyone. There's a smart traffic signal which has live automations that will spot traffic patterns and alter signals to ease congestion and improve traffic flow. Like when we have delays from a train downtown, it will start to divert people away from that congestion, which helps not just bus riders, but also drivers. It also will lengthen turning lanes, so you don't have people waiting to turn right onto Oxford who are blocking a lane of Richmond and backing everyone up. It also will fix roads, which I think anyone who's driven on Warncliffe ever, any time in the year, will know that our roads need a lot of tender loving care in the city. And these are things that will help everyone, and those are aspects of the plan that I absolutely do support. However, it is not supported by the majority of the plan itself. It's not supported by the majority of Londoners, and they see the plan as an attack on people who use cars, and it's prioritizing transit users, and it's creating a horrible divide and dialogue in this city, unfortunately. And the biggest lightning rod that seems to be a problem in this plan is the fact that there will be dedicated bus lanes, especially on Richmond and downtown. And I think we need to actually listen to, consult and listen to people, listen to their concerns, and take actual steps to fix it. I just do not want to rip up a plan that is 20 years in the making and start from scratch. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of information that went into this. We need to take that and build on it, but we need to fix it and listen to the people in order to have a plan that everyone can stand behind and support, which is what we need for the largest infrastructure project in the city's history. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, lots of great discussion. This is wonderful. We've really kicked it off. We're going to dig into another controversial topic for council, our tax rates. Nobody likes paying taxes, but of course those dollars are very important because they fund local school boards, fire and police services, transportation, parks and rec, all of the things that make our city run well. So the question is, for 2018, the overall residential tax rate is 1.350819%, more or less. And the question for candidates here is, what do you think of the current tax rate? Should it increase or decrease? And if so, how would you make up the difference or spend the additional funds? And we will start this time with Tarik Khan.
Londoners, you are the shareholder and the stakeholder in a collective home we call London. So whenever it comes to a tax, it goes to back of our mind that where we are going to spend it. We contribute in the name of property tax. It is the proportional value of our property assessed by a third party. Without going into the complex details and the financial jargons, let me explain in a very simple words. In 2019, we are going, if your property is like $350,000, which is the average property value in the London, you are going to see $124 added on your property bill. And if your property is over $700,000, you will add another $247. So we may hear from the council and the corporate that increase is already discussed, disclosed, debated, and accounted for in books. From an academic point of view, I can justify the increase and decrease. But here in London, we are facing a very unique situation. The cities all over the world, and especially in Canada, where property assessment values goes up, property tax automatically goes down. Let's take example of Vancouver. So this multi-year model was introduced in 2016 by the City Council. But in the last 2 years, we have seen a surge in our property values. So logically, our property tax should go down.
Thank you, Tarik. Thank you. Next is Marina Hernandez for Ward 8.
Well, I don't like paying any more taxes than I have to, and I don't think anyone else does. I do, however, understand that there's investment that's required in our city. We need to make sure that our services are running well because we want to make sure that our safety net is there. We want a strong community, so we need to invest in services that are needed. So we all understand that we have to pay taxes. It's part of it. But we don't necessarily have to pay more than we should. So one of the important things is for us to have a look at that surplus and what's done with it at the end of the year. Are we just taking that surplus and putting it into another project that's there and readily available? Or are we taking a closer look at our debt and at our deficit and trying to repay that? There are many opinions out there. And what I've heard while I'm out in the community is that people say, you know what, we need roads, let's invest in that. Our schools, our infrastructure, our health services, absolutely, let's invest in those. But take into account our voices. And that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that we're listening. I want to make sure that we're looking at where we're spending our hard-earned tax dollars. I want to make sure that there's no duplications. Are there places where we're spending where we could save? And that's what we need to start looking at. Because there are areas where we can save. There are services that are being duplicated. And you know where those services are sometimes, where you think, well, this service provider is doing this, and they're doing this. Can we combine those services and save tax dollar monies? So my commitment to you is that I want to listen to you. I want to hear what you have to say. And I want to be an advocate for responsible spending and make sure that the money we work hard to and the taxes that we pay go to the services that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Josh Morgan for Ward 7.
So I think I can answer some of the questions that have been raised here about what happens with taxes. But at first I want to talk about what I've done on property taxes. As some of you know, I took a lead in the multi-year budget and developing that budget over a multi-year period. That had an expected tax rate on average of about 2.8%. That wasn't good enough for me. So using our tax ratio policy, I have 3 times moved changes to the tax rate using that policy that has lowered the expected average tax rate from about 2.8, 2.9% down to about 1.53% in the multi-year budget. The last 2 years it was 1.3 and 1.1 directly because of motions I moved. And you don't have to believe me. You can go get your tax bill and you can read those numbers exactly in the bill. Those are the average numbers. Why have I done that? Because we need to be finding ways to lower taxes at every possible point. And using things like tax ratio policy, we can do so. On the corporate side of things, I have twice voted to lower the ratio between residential and corporate rates to provide some ease to our corporate friends who are seeing tax increases above the residential averages. The other things we've done is when we've spent money, we've invested it wisely. Our surplus policy directs extra surplus money into life cycle maintenance and debt reduction. We have reduced the city's debt by 10% over the past term of council. We have increased our reserve funds, our infrastructure gap funds, and life cycle maintenance funds by tens of millions of dollars, and that will save us money in the future. These are monies set aside to pay for things that we were not saving for before. We have, by motion that I made, a service review target in our multi-year budget. Our staff have to find $4 million in the budget. It is cooked into the budget, and they have no choice but to find it, and they are on target to meet those $4 million of savings. So when it comes to taxes, you can trust me that I will fight to keep them as low as possible, and that's what I've done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Joka Lenko, also for Ward 7.
Thank you. I will look to lower tax rates and focus on your priorities. Londoners have spoken to me. They want vital infrastructure in their communities taken care of. Potholes, simply potholes, sidewalks, traffic lights. They want community safety addressed in London. They want a better traffic and transit plan. By virtue of canceling the BRT, I will be saving Londoners taxes. As Kitchener-Waterloo found out, 13% increases in the first year of rolling out mass transit. Your cost of living with BRT will increase. End BRT, and by default, we will save $25 million in operating and maintenance costs alone. This council has consistently broken its promises, promised a 2.6% increase, and we constantly hear increases planned over 3%, and then they have to go scrambling to find that savings. This council in 2016 to 2019 multi-year budget approved a $5.5 million riverfront revitalization. They based that on a project in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Anybody can Google Pittsburgh. You can see the river that we have there, that river we have in London is not the river they have in Pittsburgh. This council is ignoring your priorities. It needs to respect your hard-earned tax dollars. It needs to focus on your priorities, London. It is out of touch with Londoners, and on October 22nd, I want to show you what a council can do when it listens to the priorities of Londoners. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe. And for Ward 8, Osam Ali.
The most controversial issue is the taxation and the tax. Everyone is impacted with this one. Actually, we are all homeowners and residents. So tax is one of the important subjects for Londoners. I always ask myself which service we can keep and which service we should cut in the City Hall. I always support public consultation to get people's opinion and suggestion. In past 4 years, we have seen increase on our annual tax rate in residential property, which is almost within the inflation rate or higher a little bit, and more for the business and commercial area. We want to make sure London is competitive and affordable and Londoners receive all services, but we have to come up with a budget that supports the important services like police, garbage collection, and etc. We need to be responsible, transparent, and disciplined on what city is spending money on and cutting waste. Also, as a city councillor, we need to attract business and young, talented entrepreneurs to London and keep the new graduate in London. This way we can keep our tax law and we will not see the high increase in every year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Osam. Moon Intavong, also for Ward 8.
So raising, cutting taxes, all that great stuff. Just want to throw an option out there for you guys. It's about being fiscally responsible too, right? So what does that mean? It means taking risks. We're always going to be raising and lowering taxes all the time, trying to find ways and doing those things. It's always going to be a constant. What's the solution to it, right? We can always bring back the economical stimulus in London. One of the things that we can definitely do is start looking at how we can generate revenue outside of our city instead of just taxing our own people. And it's almost like, have you heard about the fundraiser in your backyard motto? You know, people don't really get to fundraise a lot because of that. So this is what we're looking at right now with our taxes. So I ask you to be fiscally responsible and try to figure out how we can use our taxes to better our community and infrastructure and social infrastructure too as well. So it's just out there. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Moon. Matt Reed for Ward 8.
Okay, it's a little low, but thank you. So it's important because we keep talking about the increase to the tax rate, but it's actually the disparity for some families, and it's based on the impact assessments where you may not have a large increase, but because the value of your neighbor's house has gone up significantly, they have over 2%, potential increase. And I would have to tell you that the property tax system is one of the most regressive tax systems there is in this country. It is based on property values, which we have very little, control over, and especially with people from Toronto and the GTA moving in and driving our prices up, it becomes a bit of a concern for certain neighborhoods. If you own a farm, back like down by Wellington near the 401, and you've had it in your family for 80 years, it becomes astronomically expensive to keep that. And then these families are forced to sell their properties because they cannot afford it. So that becomes the real challenge with this tax system. What I would tell you, though, is that fiscal responsibility, I agree, is one of the most important things. On the school board, for instance, about 4 years ago, we were looking at potentially closing down 2 schools, Aberdeen and Ealing, and moving them into Trafalgar, which would have needed a $9.4 million renovation. Myself and 2 colleagues were against that plan. We wanted to close Trafalgar in order to split the students and keep 2 schools open, which would have saved taxpayers $9.4 million. Nothing ended up happening, but it's that type of common sense when you're looking at it, saying we need to actually think of how we can use these tax dollars to stretch and make sure that we are acting in the public's best interest. So I definitely have a track record of trying to take those common sense approaches, and it's sort of a challenge with the tax system because we all get those property tax bills, but we need to continue to try and do more with what we have, but we can't cut every service down so that we have nothing that really makes London the great city that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And Tarik, Bill Dowdy for Ward 8. Bill Dowdy.
Thank you. Nothing is free. Let's see if we can get this up. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but anyway, look what free trade did. Now we're fighting that all over again. Nothing's free. How about the word fair? Fair for everything. Fair trade. Fair taxes. We need to keep the rate around inflation, around 1 3/4%. We don't want to raise them too much, and that goes back to the BRT, sorry. And that would really raise your taxes. And then you'd be looking at cutting other services, which we don't want to do. We want to keep our services, all of them, social services. But we need to either raise taxes or cut services, like I say, or do both. But the real answer to all of this is let's get everybody working in this city full time. There's too many people below the poverty line, too many people in precarious jobs, part-time jobs. I know people have 2 and 3 part-time jobs, still can't make ends meet. So if we want people to pay their fair taxes, let's get people working. When they're working, they're paying taxes. We need new and better business, good paying jobs, like I say. Sorry, this mic is fighting me. We need to be innovative, but we need to save our social services. I am totally against privatization, and that word will come up. It'll come up with all governments, all 3 levels.
Thank you, Bill. That is your time. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm the tallest of the bunch. Let me see if I can just adjust a little bit. It is, yes, yeah. Yeah, okay, perfect. Everyone can hear me now? Is that okay? Yeah, okay, excellent. We're doing really well here. You guys are packing a lot of information into 2 minutes. I appreciate that. We will have 2 minutes for the next question as well. And it's another hot topic. We're going to be talking about safe injection sites. So in February of this year, the Middlesex London Health Unit opened London's first temporary overdose protection site, where drug users can inject illegal substances under the supervision of medical professionals. They are currently making plans for at least 1 permanent safe injection site here in the city, which would serve the same purpose. So how do you feel about the presence of these types of safe consumption sites here in London? And we will be starting this time with Marina Hernandez for Ward 8.
Taking care of our most vulnerable. I think that's a responsibility that we all have. I support these safe injection sites because London has an opioid and HIV crisis on its hands. These sites are going to provide not necessarily a safe space for users to consume, and I think that's where a lot of people think that's all they're going to do, but they're also going to provide them with clean materials to use, and they're going to be supervised by medically trained personnel who are there not only to save lives when needed, but also to provide basic healthcare services, to guide them towards other social services that they might need, whether that's housing, whether that's food, those basic necessities that a lot of us are privileged to have. They're also going to be there to hopefully guide them towards the services that lead to rehabilitation. Now, by not reusing needles, by having this place, it's going to reduce the number of people that are consuming in our playgrounds, in our schools, in our parking lots. It's going to reduce the number of needles that are popping up in these same places, where where you walk your children, where I walk my dog, where I walk myself, where we play, sports in the summertime. It's also going to reduce the spread of HIV. It's going to reduce the spread of other infectious diseases. And what is that going to translate into? Well, from a health perspective and from a humanitarian perspective, less people who are infected by a disease that can take over your life for years. And that's very costly to our healthcare system. So by supporting these sites, not only are we going to help those who need us the most, but we're also going to reduce the cost to our healthcare system so that that taxpayer money can go towards other people who also have other healthcare needs. And so that those wait lines and those lines in the hospital hallways can go down.
Okay, thank you, Marina.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Josh Morgan for Ward 7.
So I am supportive of safe injection sites or supervised consumption sites, whatever you want to call them, in the City of London. They save lives, as was earlier said. They reduce the number of discarded needles in the community, and they provide access to healthcare professionals who can help someone when they're ready to fight their addiction. The temporary the temporary safe consumption site, has saved lives in the City of London multiple times. Multiple times people have not died from overdoses because they have been in a safe place with medical professionals there to help them when they need to. I actually don't think this debate is too much over safe consumption sites, safe injection sites. It's over where to put them. That's where people have significant concerns. And for me, as an elected politician, I give great deference to the medical care professionals who are advising us on this, the London Middlesex Health Unit and where they want to go. We have the LMHC, the London Middlesex Housing Corporation, who has the willingness to host a site. We have the medical officer of health who's making recommendations on sites. And this is a medical emergency with opioids and drug addiction in our country, and we need to trust and take serious advice from the medical professionals on where we can be most effective with the use and placement of these facilities, because they actually do save lives, they reduce needles, they help people who want to fight their addiction, and they are critical in the future to reducing things like healthcare costs, as was said. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Joka Lenko for Ward 7.
Hi, thank you. Supervised injection sites are life-saving centers. They do save lives, period. They do minimize public health impacts. They keep needles off our streets. They keep needles out of our kids' playgrounds. They keep needles out of our neighborhoods. They keep needles away from people that could suffer harm. Individuals who attend these sites demonstrate to me enough clarity of mind to want to live. They recognize their harming behaviors actually could result in their death. These individuals also, to me, demonstrate a level of public health awareness in terms of keeping needles out of your neighborhoods. I think, to me, this is a clear cry for help. And as a community, we should see how we can help those that are coming to these sites. Every effort needs to be made to increase transparency of what's happening with those seeking our help, accountability for those accessing this service. The goal here should be overcoming addiction and helping them find the social services that can help them to that end. Londoners want to see change. They want to see positive, measurable care delivered to those who are at most risk due to their self-harming behaviors, and we want to hear better communication from our city officials as to what is happening with these sites. Londoners want safe neighborhoods. This is not just a downtown issue. This is an issue facing every Londoner in every neighborhood. Public health and community safety need to go hand in hand. Kids' playgrounds need to be safe. Our parks for our families need to be safe. Our streets need to be safe. Londoners want to ensure our neighborhoods stay safe and those who need care receive it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Osam Ali for Ward 8.
I think the safe injection sites, we have to call it safe consumption site because they are really do save lives. London is there's a big crisis in London, especially the HIV rates is increasing. In contrast, in Canada is decline. It's the same with hepatitis C. Over the past 10 years, 400 people have died from overdose here. However, the cost to treat one person with HIV is $1.3 million. One single case of HIV prevented PACE to operate the supervised consumption site. So treating drugs users in hospitals or putting them in jails is more expensive. The location, the concern is the location of this safe injection or safe consumption sites. We have to be very careful when we establish these sites. It should be near the areas where those with addiction are most often found, where people are publicly injected drugs, where dirty needles are found. So locating these sites in these areas reduces crimes, calm neighborhoods, and improves everyone's quality of life. These sites might impact to free up the hospital beds, and they free up police resources. They help neighborhoods, and I think they worked, and I support this kind of initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Osam. And Moon Intavong for Ward 8.
I just wanted to thank my colleagues for putting it out there with all the details and you know, your stance on it. And I just thank you so much, you guys, for that. And so I just wanted to quickly reiterate that the initiative was in response to the health of all Londoners, so not just the people that we're intended for, and that harm reduction does affect everybody. And it's about safeguarding our community. And so I won't inundate you with much further, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Moon. Matt Reed for Ward 8.
Thank you. So I was a board member of the Regional HIV/AIDS Connection for 5 years and their treasurer for 2. So I am a strong advocate of harm reduction, and the safe injection site is very much a key part of harm reduction in the city. What I would tell you is that the school board was a little bit concerned with the fact that this location is going to be right next to Beale Secondary School. You know, the city does have bylaws with these things, but an exception was made to put it so close to a high school. What I would tell you, though, is that the Director of Education, myself, the Mayor, and the Medical Officer of Health did do a tour of the temporary site on King Street, and I couldn't believe, you know, how much good work is happening. There were people lined up, you know, at 9 a.m. when we were there. And they were getting education and information, and they were getting life-saving treatment. It's over a dozen people, I think, who have actually been saved because they went there. And there's a myth that we need to bust right away, and that is that they do not go there and they're not given the drugs by the safe injection site. What they are given is clean needles, they use it there, and then that is collected. So it's actually reducing the number of needles in the community, which I think is something that we all want to see less of out there. So what we are doing with the school board, though, as it is going next to Beale, is we're going to have all of the staff there doing a tour of the facility. They're going to get to know the people who are running this center, and we are going to keep the lines of communication open so that there is no problems, and we are all supporting each other in this community, which I think is exactly the approach we need to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. And Bill Dowdy for Ward 8.
Well, it's pretty unanimous. I am for safe injection sites. You've heard it, it saves lives. It's a health and safety issue. You've heard that. The parks, the playgrounds, schools. I've talked to people. They wake up the next morning, in the alleyways, there's needles. In their driveways, everywhere, all over the city. So there is a problem, folks, and to do nothing would be a huge mistake. The problem with drugs or injections or any kind of stuff is it has no boundaries. It's not just homeless people. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to a family member, a friend, your neighbor, someone who's lost a job, a marriage. There's all kinds of factors. It could be the richest person. It could be the poorest person. So again, it affects us all. It's the right thing to do. Let the health network continue with this project. It's a good project. They know what they're doing. They are the ones that we must support, because here's the biggest thing with this, and I'll say this, that when this subject comes up, there's a lot of division. You'll hear people saying, oh, forget about it. Don't waste the money. That's wrong, okay? Don't let that divide us, okay? You've heard it tonight unanimously that this is the right thing to do. It is a health and safety issue. Doing nothing would be the worst thing. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. And Tarik Khan for Ward 8.
So the safe injection sites or the supervised injection sites, I'm for it because everything I wanted to say, it is already said. I have my observation or my comments that the review from the province should not be taken negatively because it is typical for the new government. They always try to review the previous government's projects and the initiatives. So, and the good thing is that province is saying that they want to hear more from experts and the public, and that's a good thing. In the backdrop of the scientific evidence in favor of safe injection sites, I think we should hope for the best. I'm for these SIS. Thank you.
Isn't it nice when everyone agrees? That's wonderful. Probably won't happen again this evening. Let's move along to a slightly different topic, something that is just as important to London, but maybe not as controversial as some of the topics we have been covering. Talking about arts and our community. So if you ask any Londoner here or anyone watching at home their hopes and dreams for this city, chances are their answer would include a vibrant community full of arts and culture. The question is, how do we get there? And the answers may differ. So the question for candidates here tonight is, what do you think the role of council should be when it comes to promoting arts and community vitality here in London? You'll only have 1 minute this time, so you're going to have to be really concise, but I know you're up to the challenge. We will start this time with Josh Morgan for Ward 7.
Finally get to go first, and I get the short question. I'll be brief. The role that the city can play is both a capital role in investing in facilities that can provide spaces for arts and also promoting the existence of the incredible talent that we already have in the City of London. On the capital side, we do have a new vehicle through the municipal accommodation tax. That's essentially the hotel tax, which can be used to promote tourism in our city. Many of the arts are related to tourism, and there's an opportunity there to leverage basically taxes on people visiting the city to invest in some of our arts and music infrastructure. But we also have a huge number of facilities around London. We have community centers, we have libraries, and we have the capacity to do a little bit more to showcase the talent that we have in the city, whether it's visual or performing arts, in those spaces. And I think next term, what I'd like to take on is us trying to open up those spaces a little bit more to those with talent in our city to showcase them. One of the things I'm proud of doing is I moved a motion to start singing O Canada at council meetings. We've never done that before, and each week we have a different person from the community who is unaffiliated with council come in and sing. And the wonderful talent that we have in the city that we are not showcasing is something that we need to correct in the next term.
Thanks, Josh. Joka Lenko for Ward 7.
Thank you. I want to thank Aeolian Hall actually for showing me what facilities like this can actually do for artists in this city. You'll see around the walls here, they feature local talent, and individuals who are interested in that local talent can actually put an interest or some interest in buying those arts. That to me is exactly what I would love more places in London doing. I think London City Council shouldn't bankroll artists any more than they bankroll carpenters, taxi drivers, or pro athletes. City Council can take a leadership role, however, in certain cases where there's broader community support that calls for it. So if we look at Veterans Memorial Parkway, I think Londoners would love to see more investment. This project, I think, would generate broad community support to see meaningful expressions of gratitude to commemorate the service of those who have fought and died in service to their country. Local talent could be commissioned with significant public engagement to produce works of art all Londoners can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Osam Ali for Ward 8.
I think, let's say arts and culture is better to bring them together, because I do agree investing on in the arts and cultures will pay off. In London, arts and culture contributes over $500 million to the city's GDP and provides about 8,000 jobs. For example, the Budweiser Gardens consistently voted the best venue of the size in North America, added significant revenue to the city bottom lines. Art programs and cultures create social and mental health benefits. London Arts Council has programs that improve the quality of the life for people facing challenge from the mental illness to dementia, and they foster the lifelong appreciation for the arts by putting the artists right in our schools. And also we have to appreciate and thanks, for example, today the Aeolian Hall for their hosting, and we are in every wall we are seeing the touch of the people, the artists and people they are putting in culture. One thing also for the culture as well, because
Sam, sorry, that is your time. It is a quick one.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Moon Intavong for Ward 8.
So it's great if we do have, if we're promoting arts and vitality in the community. But one of the concerns that I have is that a lot of the talents are actually moving away from the city. So some of the options are to find ways to attain those talents. That I know London has amazing talent everywhere, from every imaginable creative industry possible there. So one of the things that I would like to maybe action and see is if City Council could do some kind of community talent agency or something like that, that we can definitely do. But like, think about it, we can become a little Toronto, or why can't we be a Stratford Festival kind of community, and for kind of culture take on it. Something that Toronto has a mini, the little mini countries and cities out there. So that's one of the ideas that I have anyway. So I don't know, something to think about.
Thank you, Moon. Matt Reed for Ward 8.
Thank you. I do think arts and culture is vital for the health of this city, but I do think, not to repeat what everyone else is saying, I'll take a different tactic and say we need to start when they're young, which is why our school board has invested $1.25 million for new musical instruments for them. And I think City Council can really do a lot to promote the great things that are happening. My track record on our board is that, when it came to issues like prom queen, our board of trustees was able to work with administration to reverse their decision to fund that. I brought forward $60,000 in this budget to support elementary and secondary school musicals and plays, which will make it more accessible and affordable for the community. So I think there's a lot of amazing things that are happening in the community. What City Council needs to be doing is promoting it. We do this great event at Budweiser Gardens where we have thousands of high school student musicians that take over Bud Gardens, and they perform for 2 hours, and the rest of the city just doesn't know that these things are happening. So that if we can start to really promote that and instill it at a very early age, the city can become the creative hub in all of Ontario.
Thank you, Matt. Bill Dowdy for Ward 8.
Thanks again, and yes, of course, we want the arts. It's good for everybody. It's like anything else the city does. We want to sell it. We want tourism. We want to create jobs. It's just the right thing to do. And to do this, we need inclusion, diversity, all cultures. We must promote all cultures. We need more arts, historic festivals, fairs, Indigenous reconciliation, a vision of equality. It's good for the city, like I say. It's good for business. And most of all, it's the right thing to do. You want a diverse and integrated population, a healthy and educated population, sustainability, quality of life, sense of belonging for everyone. Some people feel they don't belong. This is a good way to do it. Culture, arts, positive life outcomes for all those. Let's collaborate. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. And Tarik Khan for Ward 8.
The culture is the lifeblood of our vibrant society, expressed in many ways. How we tell our stories, celebrate and remember our past, and imagine future. In fact, this question is an eye-opener for the Londoners. It will compel us to think twice about the city's priorities. From a typical property tax bill, we are spending only 0.4% on the arts, culture, and heritage advisory, and this spending on heritage is even less. It is 0.03%. We need more festivals, both in summer and winter season, so more arts and culture activities may take place. Stratford is famous for the theatre. Toronto is famous for the TIFF. Why not we have a LIFF in London as London International Food Festival? Thank you.
Thank you, Tarik. Marina Hernandez for Ward 8.
Sorry. So I want you to take a look around you, and we're sitting here or standing here in the historic Aeolian Hall. There's art and culture around you, and they're bringing community together. They're giving you an opportunity to come and hear the people that want to represent you. So as City Council, it's our responsibility to promote that. We should promote what we have to showcase so that the world can see all the talent that London has. We're hosting the Junos. We have festivals that attract people from everywhere, from Sunfest to Folkfest. We have talent in our high schools. We don't have to look very far. Beale is a perfect example of that. And there's art everywhere. And so it's important for us to do that so that tourists want to come to London and spend their money, be patrons in our businesses, use our services, and so that Londoners want to stay here and want to enjoy, what our beautiful city has to offer. We have a lot to offer, and we need to showcase it. We need to support it. We need to promote it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one more prepared question. In the interest of time, we do want to make sure we have lots of time to take questions from the crowd. So we are going to shorten this one to 1 minute as well for responses, doing the best you can. The question is just regarding the ward that you're in, Ward 7 and 8. In the northwest corner of the city, a lot of similarities between them, also some unique differences. So what is the major issue facing your ward in the next 4 years? And we will be starting this time with Joka Lenko for Ward 7.
Thank you. Ward 7 is the fastest growing and it is the most populous ward in London. Council is ignoring the real issues of our ward. Vital infrastructure is being ignored. It's taking almost 8 years to just get a traffic light into one of our neighborhoods. We need a better traffic and transit solution so residents of Ward 7 can actually get to work. There's no service along Sunningdale Road entirely. BRT isn't even coming into Ward 7, but Ward 7 residents will be paying the bill for BRT. City Council is so focused on this BRT project, it is failing to address the real priorities in Ward 7, and that is infrastructure, community safety, and a better traffic and transit solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Osam Ali for Ward 8.
I think for Ward 8, which is similar to the Ward 7, the issues exactly which is like other London wards. We have different, well-educated people, middle classes, high incomes, but still we have some problem and lacks of the transportation infrastructure. A lot of people sending in emails and saying, how about this kind of route, LTC, they are not covering all the Ward 8, and there is also the infrastructure development, they are growing in some area. And also one of the things is with the Ward 8, it's missing community centers. We have a lot of church, we have a lot of arenas, we have the Optimus Arena, but in Ward 8, one of the things is missing community centers that we can serve the communities in different programs for youth, seniors, and for every single, for example, businesses, technology. I think this is the most issues with the Ward 8. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Osam. Also for Ward 8, Moon Intavong.
So infrastructure will always get a working ticket. There will always be things to build and things to develop. So one of the things is that we have been very underactive in providing social infrastructure. It's at risk right now of not being stable. So I want to ask you guys some of these questions when you're electing your next city council is, you know, they can vie for infrastructures and things like that, but I want to ask you, how many of you are working poor, working excessive hours, you know, enthralled in debts and bills and etc., and not living life the way you need to? I'm working on a thriving community fortified by valued members, led by a visionary leadership. So the harsh reality and the truth is that the labor force is not coming back, okay? Due to automation and IA and things like that. So I am working on a basic income right now. I am with the London chapter. And this is so paramount in Ward 8, in anywhere in our communities. So I just wanted to leave that with you and think about it, that infrastructures can always have a working ticket, but it's the social infrastructure that I am dedicated to and focused on. Thank you.
Thank you, Moon. Matt Reed for Ward 8.
Okay, so I'm going to put BRT aside because I do think that that is probably the biggest issue for the ward, but we want to delve in further. And depending on what community you are talking about, there's a real concern with the location of a skate park by the proposed site is West Oaks French Immersion Public School, but that affects only a small part. The ward as itself, the biggest issue in my view is the affordability of housing. You know, housing prices in London went up 18% last year. They're going to go up another significant portion this year. And it's the affordability and making sure that everyone has jobs, and not just, you know, a job that, you know, helps them live, but actually, you know, meets their skills, because we have a lot of jobs that are unfilled, you know, that are highly skilled in the trades, for instance. So we need to really continue to work towards making sure everyone is fully employed and not underemployed. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Bill Downey for Ward 8.
It's like every time I come up here, I hear the same thing, but there are major issues: traffic, taxation, composting in the high rise, garbage collection. But you just heard it. The biggest problem that I hear is people are not making the money they need to live, to pay their bills, to buy food, the choices of getting rid of a car, the expenses, the insurance. Everything has gone up except wages. This is the biggest challenge in most families. And I have a diverse ward, but there are a lot of people that are just getting by, and a lot of them using credit just to pay their bills, right off credit cards, waiting for their next paycheck. We need better paying jobs. Like I've said before, when people are working, they're paying fair taxes, they're contributing, they feel better, they're included. All these things matter. Everything else is important also. But if you don't make a decent income, how can you get by? How can you worry about little things when you can't even put food on the table?
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. Tarik Khan for Ward 8.
Thank you. I see problems and nothing in my ward. We have developed subdivisions, but not the neighborhoods. So We are offloading the traffic from subdivisions on few roads, like let me give you an example of Sarnia subdivision. We are offloading all vehicular traffic on a Beaverbrook or on the Sarnia road. So I see a biggest challenge for the next 4 years would be the traffic management for the Ward 8. And the second is the jobs. When we say jobs, when we say poverty, because why there is a poverty? Because there is no job. Why there is no job? Because we are not creating any business. Why we are not having any business? Because city's policies and bylaws are not business friendly. So it's not business friendly policy making. So who is going to do it? Is corporate? No. Corporate is given the framework and they are following it. And this is the city council who has to make the business friendly policies and fix the bylaws. And we will have the jobs and business and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarik. Thank you. Marina Hernandez for Ward 8.
So Ward 8, one of the things that I'm hearing as I'm going through the neighborhoods is that we need better access to services. What do people mean by this? We need to make sure that if you're a resident of Ward 8 and you're working elsewhere in the city, if you're using public transit, that's available for you, that routes are coming into your subdivisions. We also need to make sure that if we're driving to work, that our streets are working for us, that our traffic signals are in sync and moving traffic along. Traffic that's being rerouted through our subdivisions, we also need to make sure that we have protective services in place, that people are slowing down, because we have a lot of signs on our lawns that say respect the limit, but we still see people slowing down. So people want to see more speed bumps. They want to see people take that into consideration to keep our streets safe, our neighborhoods vibrant, and to make sure that people can get from point A to B, because you need to get to work, you need to get to school, you need to make sure that you're protecting your livelihood. And so having access to those basic services is something that I see as, and that I'm hearing as being an issue in our ward. And it's something that I hope that we can address on the next City Council for Ward 8. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Josh Morgan for Ward 7.
So Joe's right. Ward 7 is the largest and fastest growing part of the city, and that is definitely the biggest issue. But I got to tell you, I'm not going to let the comment go about Ward 7 being ignored from an infrastructure standpoint or a city council standpoint. This ward has had a lot of attention and a lot of infrastructure. It is a ward that has a new BIA. It is a ward that has gotten a new street light. And yes, I'm happy that I passed a motion through council to get that, even though it took time. It is a ward that is seeing investment. There will be a bus route along Sunningdale if you look at the future plans for LTC. There is a widening of Sunningdale Road coming. There is a new stormwater management pond that is allowing for growth to happen. There are new connections and new sidewalks connecting communities. There are massive amounts of new infrastructure around schools to make them safer, and this ward has not been ignored, and it will not be ignored in the future. And I think residents have spoken very clearly to me, and I have worked very hard to deliver on their expectations. Now, there is lots more to do. We can improve our parks, we can improve the quality of our roads, and we can definitely do a better job on snow removal. And those are things that I commit to addressing in the next term of council.
And now we want to hear directly from you folks who came out from the wards tonight for the debate. So we are actually going to give you the opportunity to ask questions of the candidates now. Andrew will be walking around with a microphone. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and he will come over to you with the wireless mic. I think I see one in the back there.
Let's start up here today.
Okay, good. We've got lots of hands. This is wonderful. The candidates will have 1 minute to respond to these questions.
Sitting. So my question is to Bill Dowdy. And I'm resident of, first I will introduce myself. I'm resident of Ward 8 from last more than 10 years. We are family of 5 and we all are voters. My question to Bill Dowdy is, what I understood, you are against BRT. You are a good critic of BRT. But what is your vision for an immediate and better traffic solution? What is your approach about improving road network, city infrastructure as a city councillor? The reason I'm asking this question, BRT is maybe 8 or more years a project. I might be retired at that time. And to go to office or go to airport, fly from Ward 8 to airport, it was taking just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 10 years ago. Now it is 45 minutes. How you would, and your tenure would be next 4 years. BRT won't be completed. How you would improve my quality of life during next 4 years, improving the city infrastructure, especially the road infrastructure.
Perfect, okay. That was directed at Bill, so we will give Bill the chance to answer there.
So I take it the question was me being against BRT. I'm really concerned with the cost. And right now, sorry.
Sorry, just wait for the mic, please.
Hey, sorry.
Wait for the mic, please.
I don't want to touch BRT. I would like to hear about how you will improve quality of life for myself during the next 4 years.
So your quality of life, we need our social services. We need all of it. You've heard about infrastructure. You've heard about LTC transportation. A lot of people can't afford a car. But everybody needs social services, and I want to protect them. I am totally against privatization. I want everybody to have the best health care. Those are provincial and local issues. We want people to have decent jobs. We've got to get people working at better paying jobs so they can afford life. We need to keep the things we've got. Don't let government take them away. We live in times of austerity.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Yeah, that is 1 minute. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that one? We will give you the opportunity, even though it was directed at Bill. Marina, sure, go ahead.
Hi. I think that, what you're saying is that, in a couple of years, you might not be driving anymore, right? And I've seen that happen to my parents, and I've seen that happen to family friends. And so you want to have access to transportation because you still want to go to the airport, and maybe sometimes you don't want to take a taxi or have to ask a friend or a family member to do that. And I think that's where our role as a city council is. It's so important to work in partnership with other organizations, or like the LTC, to see, do we have the ridership, for maybe transit to the airport? How many people would use it if we had it there? And it's opening sort of that communication line with our constituents to say, is this a service that you would use, right? None of us are getting younger. And so we also need to think about the future. And that's where, transit and all these other services are going to come into play. So so I think that's one thing that I'd like to do is collaboration to make sure that in the future when we can't drive or use, those other services, that there's something in place for us.
Okay. Thank you, Marina. Does anyone else want to weigh in on this one? No? Everyone else is good? Okay, perfect. Let's take another question from the audience. I believe Andrew has one ready there.
Yes, Bill Brock, former transit manager in the City of London. The question I have for all of you is, and I appreciate the discussion you've had, the question I have for all of you is that in your wards 7 and 8, you don't have BRT. How does it affect your ward? The bigger question is, are you prepared to support a failed system? As of January this year, the BRT will be slower, cost more, and take you longer to get from point A to B. So my question is, are you prepared to support that, support the millions of dollars for bike lanes, at the same time you're asking people for essential services to stand up, line up, and wait your turn? They're essential. You can't have them both. Why should you sacrifice need and essentials for a flawed plan?
Okay, so another one around BRT. We'll be starting this time with Osam, just because Joe started the last question, and this one was at everyone. So is there a wireless mic there for Osam that we could pass down? Perfect.
I think thanks, Bill, for this question. I know that BRT is going to be knocking our Ward 8 doors, especially at Wonderland and Oxford. The problem with the BRT, if you say, for example, what the alternative we have to do if there is no BRT. I think the question is, we need to invest in our infrastructure, whether BRT or not. Our transportation infrastructure, as you mentioned, the bicycling is very important for people, especially young people. They are going to the back and forth to the university or schools or wherever, or going to the works. This is the first thing. The other thing is the BRT, it might affect, especially if there's no, if there's concerns about overhead operating budget and maintenance. However, I am with the word, short-term pain is better than, leads to the long-term gain.
Thank you, Osam. Thank you very much. You can pass it down to Moon. We'll continue in order. If you'd like to answer this one, Moon.
Thanks for that question. So again, I just want to focus on ways that we can help Ward 8 in the community. One of the things is there is a need for dedicated bus lane to go down to certain industrial roads down there. And I have been attending a lot of the LTC meetings and been in talks with certain people there, and you know, this conversation can always just, yeah, I'm sorry, I just I really want to bring this into a positive light, because there's just been so many controversial things regarding the BRT. I understand about the taxes and how you know, it can affect all of us, but I really want to focus on something more positive and get that transit there for Ward 8. So, and
okay, thank you very much, Moon. Matt, you will be next. Can you pass the mic down to Matt if you would like to comment? Go ahead.
Good to see you, Bill. Always appreciate a call or comment from you. So, you know, I think I made my position fairly clear with BRT. I don't support the current plan. You know, the good thing about doing these joint Aeolian talks is that you will have 2 city councilors, but they are 2 votes out of 15. You know, and who you choose for mayor is just as important, because ultimately you can't get anything done there unless you have those 8 votes. So what I do not support the current plan. What I want to do is try to listen to the concerns, fix, you know, some of the issues, those lightning rods, I called it, like the dedicated bus lanes. And if we start to turn the needle and you actually have a majority of people who are supporting a revised BRT, then we can start having those discussions. But right now, I am not, you know, I would not vote in favor of the current plan without substantial changes. And I think we need to actually do some meaningful consultations, not listen to people, ignore them, and keep going with the current plan. So I hope that answers your question, and I'm more than happy to chat more afterwards.
Thanks, Matt. Bill Dowdy.
Thank you. And yes, I said in my opening statements, I talked about I'm all for better LTC service. We have a great bus system. We need to run it to the airport. We need to run it in all directions, north, south, east, west. We need to go south to the industrial land that we were talking about. But right now, I can't support the BRT because of the funding. That's a lot of money. I've said that. Already the provincial government has shown cutbacks to many issues. Don't be surprised about downloading coming from them next. What are you going to do next when they download more health services on you? Are you going to have this or that, cut this, have it all? We want to keep our social services. And yes, people need bus service. It's the way of the future. Everybody has to get to work. It's very important. School, Western, Fanshawe, the hospital, seniors.
Okay, thanks, Bill, very much. Tarik Khan for Ward 8.
Thank you. I think we are missing something here, completely missing. And this is a $500 million project. 200 million will be coming from federal government and 170 from the province. And for both houses of government. This is for the transit infrastructure improvement funding. So we are just mixing it, BRT, bus thingy. In this project, there are 3 components. One is the traffic signals improvement. Second one is we need to improve the road infrastructure. And third one is the bus thingy. So if we take out the bus thingy and keep our funding intact through our MPPs and MP, so we can have a better solution for the London. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarik. You can go ahead and answer the question.
I thank you, Bill, for the question. I think you're raising a very important issue. As I stated before, I don't currently support the BRT plan as it stands because there's so many unanswered questions. But the other important question you're raising is those essential services that are important to us. And one of the things before moving with forward with such a big project that's important is to listen to people and to hear, what are the services that are important to you? And that's why canvassing is so important, because we're getting to talk to people in their homes, in their neighborhoods, to hear what they have to say. And if BRT isn't the solution, and if that's not the most pressing issue, then we need to address what is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Josh, it's your turn if you'd like to make a comment.
Yeah, I can. So certainly I won't be voting for BRT because I'm not going to be able to vote on any of the major components of the plan even next term. So I would like to comment on the other part of the question, and that is investments in regular services. I will tell you, we do spend about $170 million on roads and road repairs each year. That is not sufficient. We are fixing roads with a pavement quality index in the low to mid 20s, and those are not very good roads. Quite frankly, we should be up closer to the 30s. And so there are capital investments that we can make in the repairs of basic services. Like I said earlier in my comment, we can certainly do a better job on snow removal. We can lower the thresholds, send the plows out a little earlier. Those are investments that I'm hearing people want us to make, and certainly those are things that I'm committed to looking at how we can fund in the next term.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Josh. And Joka Lenko for Ward 7 as well, if you have a comment there.
Thank you. Yes, no resident of Ward 7 will ever wonder where I stand on BRT. I will work to end that project. Our current transit system doesn't address the gaps that Londoners need. We need to get to work on our buses. We can't get to work on our buses. If I was to get out my front door to the bus stop that is 30 seconds away, it would take me, and this is on the LTC website, 53 minutes to get to Masonville Mall. I can drive there in 6. We have a broken system. BRT is not going to make anything better about it. I would work to end it.
Thank you very much. I think we have time for just one more question from the crowd, and I believe we have one about new development. You can go ahead.
Hello, hi. My name is Cameron, and I'm a resident of Ward 7. My question is to all candidates, actually, because we see this a lot. A lot of new subdivisions have been built in both, pretty much in North London as well as in South. A lot of new houses, a lot of new streets, but there is no sense of community. All we see is that, we have rows and rows of houses, but no efforts are made that how we can develop a community within those neighborhoods. Okay, for example, no strip malls. Everybody has to drive free. In Sunningdale, a lot of expansion there. You have to drive all the way to Masonville or some other places to buy your grocery or even some small stuff you need to get. Some places, something there should be, just to bring all the community together, some small get-together, small barbecues. But we don't see that happening in the new neighborhoods. So I just want to hear, how do you see, if you get into this role, and probably two of you, I guess, how do you see that you should be able to develop communities in these new neighborhoods? Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is for all candidates. I think it's relevant in both wards. How do we create community in new neighborhoods? And we'll be starting this time with Moon. Is there a mic that we can pass? Perfect. Yeah.
That's a really great question. I'm glad you asked that. One of the plans that I'm thinking about doing, I would like to implement, is actually having 2 ambassador kind of system navigators representation in that ward, and hopefully other wards will follow suit. But the main idea behind this is that kind of what we do in social services work. So you connect with this services, and they're able to connect you with the different programs and services, or even community engagement, right? And I think that's really important as a city council, is to have major community engagement. That's one thing that I would definitely do. I am on the ground, ground zero all the time, visiting with people and working in the background for nonprofit organizations and develop communities. So I would definitely, as your counselor, be available and approachable, and I would love to work with different projects and initiatives with you.
Thanks.
So,
thank you very much. Matt?
Thank you for the question. I do want to comment that the rapid growth that is happening is really explosive. It's really happening in the Northeast and Northwest parts of the city, so Ward 5 and Ward 7. And this last year, we opened brand new elementary schools, and collaborations with the City of London. We also put family centers in there. So we will have kids from, daycare all the way up to the age of 13, along with the families. And I would tell you that, I hate doing it, but when you go to close down a school, you really see how much of a sense of community, those type of hubs really bring. They really are the heart of those communities, and being able to work collaboratively with the city in order to provide all of those different services becomes essential to continue to meet the needs of the local residents. So those really are some things that are happening in Ward 7, which hopefully will create that culture and that sense of community you want.
Thank you. Bill?
That's a very good question, and I've seen it while I'm out in the street. New subdivisions, growth, poor infrastructure, transportation. I've seen a neighborhood in Ward 8 that's 9 years old, and there's still empty lots, holes that are not filled in. Have created safety issues like a pond. It's unbelievable, but I would suggest whatever service you need, please go to the City of London website. If you can't, try to get a friend to do it for you. Everything's listed pretty good there. We do have good services. We have good people at City Hall. Call your ward councillor, call your MPP, call your MP if you have to, call the LTC. But you make a good point. It's like new areas are the last ones to be serviced, and wait till winter comes, and you're really going to see what happens, because you'll be lucky to get your car out of the driveway, and it's not good. We fail there. We also talked about culture and diversity.
Thanks, Bill. Thank you very much. Tarik?
We have developed subdivisions, not the neighborhoods. And if there is a problem, there is a solution, and solution is very straightforward. We need to look at the site plan bylaws, we need to find out the open spaces, and we need to do some zone changes. And so we can bring some strip malls or small grocery stores into that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Marina?
Hi, thank you. I think when you talk about a sense of community, it goes beyond just Ward 8, because we may live in Ward 8, but we work and play in other wards. And I think as City Council, one of the things that we can do to help improve that sense of community is empower that sense of community as a London community, not necessarily just as a new subdivision, but to encourage people to come out to events, to come out to festivals, to come out to plays, come out to meet the rest of your community, right? Sometimes you don't know your neighbor 5 doors down, but you might meet them at an event. And then you realize, oh, hey, you're my neighbor. And that's how community starts. And I see that in my neighborhood. When winter comes, if there are days where, I'm struggling to plow my driveway, like my neighbors will pitch in, right? And the same, if somebody needs to push their car, you see, people come out from their homes and do that. And I think that that's sort of what we want to do. But wouldn't it be great if we did that as Londoners, not necessarily as something that's ward-centric? So that's just my take on that sense of community. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question, and definitely in Ward 7. So what can the city do long term is they can design better subdivisions. The problem is that many of the subdivisions in the Foxfield area were designed about 13 years ago, and what we've tried to do is, as they come up for renewal, is improve them by creating path parkways and a walking loop between them so we can connect the communities. But I have good news for you about the barbecues and those sorts of things, is that this year the city created a small events fund that neighborhood groups and communities can access of up to $500 to run a community event. You can also organize and run a movie night in your neighborhood, and there was one done in Foxfield. Matt talked about the family centers. There's also ways that we can engage the communities in the development of those new parks, and we've started to try that in Foxfield this term. I pushed for that so that people have the ability to start shape their neighborhoods, but it comes to people and providing them the tools so that they can get out and plan the events and engage and meet one another. And I'd love to talk with you afterwards about the tools that are already available and connect you with some of them, so we can do that.
Thank you, Josh. Joe?
Thank you. Our eldest, she turned 6 this year, and we had her starting in senior kindergarten. So as parents who are now walking this kid of ours to school, we actually found so many more conversations that we could just have with our neighbors than when we first moved in. So I think once we get out of our doors and really just start talking to our neighbors and really engage with them, we have something as simple as walking a kid to school opens up a conversation. So now you get to know the neighbors that are in your neighborhood. I think in Ward 7 we have had explosive growth, and there are a few parks actually that just, again, having kids, they want to go and play in the community, and so just being part of the community with children that attend the school in the community, we're able to just make those connections a lot quicker than maybe some would. I know along the campaign trail, as I'm knocking on doors, you're telling me I'm the first person from any kind of government level administration or seeking election that's coming to knock on your doors. So if we're having issues connecting with our residents, I can only imagine residents in those wards actually trying to get out their doors to talk to others. But we do want to encourage any effort to get...
Thanks, Joe. Sorry, I have to cut you off there. And lastly, Osam for Ward 8.
I think this is a very great question. The answer you raised very two problems in the Ward 7 or Ward 8 or whatever. It's a lack of diversity and lack of multiculturalism, whether in the city or in the organization, the service provider or organization. Because the problem is a disconnection between the communities. Communities are disconnected. Even with all respect what Josh said, there's a lot of maybe programs and is going on, but we don't have any idea how we can approach people. So another lack of how to outreach people. So if this organization exists, they have a lack of outreach to reach all the communities at that site. So if I get elected, I will be very approachable, and I will talk to all these organizations and make them very effective, and I will do something like a hub website for the Ward 8 to understand and come together and know exactly what's happening in this ward, whether cultural, arts, communities events, whatever events, to keep them connected together. Thank you so much for your question again.
Thank you, Osam. Thank you very much. That is all the time we have for questions. We do have an opportunity for candidates to give their closing statements. These are their final thoughts, but they will be quick. They will just be 30 seconds. You have to be very concise. And of course, I'm sure the candidates may stick around afterwards if you would like to talk with them one-on-one, or of course they can all be contacted in different ways as well. We're actually back to Matt. So Matt, you'll be starting again, and actually you can stay in your seat for this one, just in the interest of time. We'll just pass the mic down. But whenever you're ready, you've got 30 seconds just for final thoughts.
Okay, I'll keep it quick. Thank you everyone for coming out, and I want to thank everyone up here. We have a very diverse group that's running in Ward 8, and I really, it makes me feel really positive about the future of this ward. If you want to get to know more about who I am and what I stand for, go to the website mattreed.ca, and I would encourage anyone to contact me if you have questions or want to get to know more. But I do believe I have the experience that I will be able to bring forward and help City Hall move forward and represent Ward 8 to the best of my abilities. Thank you. Was that 30 seconds?
That was exactly 30. Well done.
Thank you very much, and thanks for putting this session on tonight. Yes, excellent candidates from both wards, very impressive. When you do this job, you represent everybody from A to Z, all the issues from A to Z. We are diverse, and that's how you move forward. You build on that. You build on culture. We didn't touch a lot on the environment tonight. Very important. We need clean water. We need to protect our social services. We need fairness for everybody. I have the experience. I've been in business, and I'm a social activist. I represent people from A to Z, like I said. I have the time. I'm retired. I will make this job a full-time job, and I thank everybody for being here tonight.
Thanks, Bill. Tarik?
I'll try to be more focused. My goal would be the business, jobs, and prosperity. And my actions would be innovation, transparency, and austerity. Let's make a whole London a supporter of BRT. Now this B is for business. Business rapid transit. Thank you.
Thank you. Marina?
I'm committed to building a brighter and better future for London, for us, and for our city. But I can't do it alone. I need your help. So take your powers to the polls, because your vote is your voice. And I hope that you'll check Marina Hernandez for Ward 8, and let's move London forward together. Thank you.
Thank you. Josh?
Yeah, first, I just wanted to finish by thanking everybody for coming out. It really means a lot to us as the candidates for you to come out, ask us questions, listen to what we have to say. And to the candidates, a campaign is all about you. When you get elected to council, it's all about everyone else. Two people on this stage will be colleagues. And so I hope we listen to each other, we listen to each other's ideas, because it takes 8 votes to get anything done, and it's really all about collaboration after the election. So it was great to hear many of the wonderful ideas that my colleagues from both 7 and 8 had tonight. I really appreciate your thoughts as well.
Thank you. Joe?
Thank you, Andrew and Christine, and thank you to the Aeolian Hall for hosting us here, and thank you folks for tuning in. I offer you a clear contrast. Over the 4 years, should you elect me to office, I will listen to your priorities, make sure vital infrastructure receives the attention it requires, make sure your community safety issues are addressed, and make sure that we do build a better traffic and transit solution for Londoners. On October 22nd, I'm asking for your vote. Joka Lenko, Councillor for Ward 7. Thank you.
Thank you. Osam?
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for Aeolian Hall, and thanks for Rogers TV for hosting and organizing this event, and thanks for everyone to come over and show up. I think in October 22nd, you need someone to be advocate on your behalf, and how to deliver your voice and your concern and ideas to the City Hall, and should be respected and should be heard. So that's why, as a community person, I worked more than 10 years for the different organization, and we worked with a lot of community members and peoples, understanding their needs, and I will convey all these skills and expertise to also to our ward and for Londoners as well, to help them and also to serve them in a better way.
Thank you, Osam.
Thank you so much.
Just want to say thank you so much, Christine, Andrew, and Rogers TV, and definitely for everyone coming out to listen to us today. It shows that you guys are definitely dedicated and passionate about your community and city, and that has really inspired me to do an amazing job for you guys as your city council. And I just want you to remember social services lens, social infrastructure, things that are long-lasting and can have a meaningful impact in our lives and in the community. This is what I can offer you guys, and I am totally dedicated and committed to this campaign. And just to let you know, this campaign is not only mine alone, but it is very much yours. So whatever issues and concerns we have, we've got this, London.
Thank you, Moon. Thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause to all of the candidates here. They not only had the guts to run, they got up on stage tonight. We put them on the spot. They answered your questions. Thank you so much for coming out, and good luck to everyone. I also
thank all the audience for coming out here tonight to Aeolian Hall, for being engaged. This is just wonderful. Thank you for your questions. And I want to thank the Aeolian for organizing and hosting these debates. This is truly a fantastic event for the City of London. And when the polls close on October 22nd, be sure to tune in to Rogers TV for in-depth analysis of the results. Until then, I'm Christine Teleski. Have a great night.
Welcome to London Today. I'm your host, Missy Haggerty. We're at Conbrio Farm, and we'll be talking to Holly Heyman, Equestrian, and Kevin and Ashley Maxey from Struck Apparel. We'll be right back.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Pedestrian crossovers are new to London. Pedestrians should wait until the drivers have stopped. Make eye contact with the driver and show intention before crossing. Learn your role and the location of pedestrian crossovers at london.ca/crossovers.
Don't get caught unprepared this summer. White's Rental is your one-stop shop for lawnmower tune-ups and repairs. You can visit us at our new location, 785 Little Simcoe Street.
Duramed, helping you stay independent since 1999. Accident, illness, or injuries, short or long-term solutions. We have experienced staff to help you choose the products you need. Fast, friendly, reliable. Duramed Mobility, your one-stop shop home healthcare store. At Huron Flooring, we employ our experienced sanders and refinishers. We only use hard-wearing, environmentally safe finishes. Huron Flooring, the one and only hardwood flooring store you'll ever need.
When you have so many great songs, there's just no need to play them over and over again. Your no-repeat workday station.
Nothing but the perfect music mix while you work.
Easy 1013.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to London Today. I'm with Holly Heyman and Cosette. Thanks for being here, Holly.
No problem.
We are at her farm, Conbrio, just north of London. So tell us about your facility, Holly.
So we have a 16-stall facility here with mainly hunters and jumpers, although this one here is a dressage horse. She is our token dancer at the moment. We built about 10 years ago, and we are a Dutch Masters built farm. So everything here is state-of-the-art, and we actually won Canadian Farm Build of the Year the year we were built.
What types of programs do you offer here?
So mainly we do horse training as well as showing. So all of these guys are competing at the national or international level, and we do a select number of children's lessons as well.
So when you say training, do people ship in for short-term training, or is it a long-term program that they're...
We tend to suggest a minimum of 60 days, so 2 months. And then some horses well overstay that and have been here for years. This one, for example, is 8 this year, and she's been here for 8 years. So we have them on a whole spectrum.
So when people are shipping in, is it to enhance their training, or is there some behavioral issues that you're dealing with?
For the most part, what we are getting in is we're getting in either babies who have never been ridden before, so we start them from the first person on their back, which is usually me, or they've started and they've done that work with somebody else, and now they're going to start competing and be put up for sale. So they want to make them marketable to the general public.
How nerve-wracking is that the first time on board when they're not broken?
That's a good question. I'm actually very comfortable with it. It's the first day handling them where you don't know what we're getting lines, in that they're like sports cars. I like the sports cars of the horse world, where sometimes people like more of the SUVs, the calmer, quieter, larger horses. I'm looking for a little bit of the sportier type.
Sports car.
The sports car, yeah.
What's a typical client like that comes here? Do they travel, or are they all from London?
Our typical clients are actually being drawn from the university. So we have a lot of girls from Western who come here for their 4 years, or they stay for a master's or some sort of additional education after that, and they bring their horses with them. So I would say 75% we're pulling from the university, and then the other 25% are locals to London.
When you're traveling to shows, like you're traveling pretty far away. These aren't happening in London.
No, we're competing in Guelph this week, in Rockwood actually specifically, and then Caledon at the Pan Am Equestrian Center that was built for that. And that's the majority of our summer. Sometimes we also will go to Chicago, Kentucky, Ohio, and sort of the Midwestern states.
That's a long haul.
It is, yeah.
So you must have to have really good staff here for you to like...
Wonderful, yeah.
Manage
the
that.
best, yeah. We have very responsible people who work for us and are very enjoyable too. Some nice girls.
What's your favorite part of the job?
That's a good question. I'm a very competitive person. I like to compete. I like to go to the show ring. I really enjoy watching my students when they go to the national shows and they either have their first win or their first big success. And to see their homework and hard work and years of practice pay off is really exciting on that side. On the other side, on the training side, the moment when a horse just gets it, understands for the first time, and you can sort of see them think it through. That's always really exciting to us.
Thank you for being here, Holly.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back from Cambrio.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Bring your refillable water bottle with you wherever you go. There are refillable water stations across the city, or you can fill it at a tap with the city's clean drinking water. It's the Clear Choice, london.ca/clearchoice.
Mercier, Mirage, Superior. We sell the best hardwood flooring brands. We employ our experienced flooring installers. Huron Flooring, the one and only hardwood flooring store you'll ever need.
Well, Rogers has helped me so much. It's provided me with lots of opportunities, from just learning the basics of doing mobiles and in-studio productions to even in the end teaching me how to run a show, produce a show, and host a show as well as giving me the chance to build a resume as I was learning and be able to use that resume to go towards applying for university. So because of my work at Rogers, I've been able to get into my dream university program.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to London Today. I'm Missy Haggerty. We are at Cambrio Farms, and I'm with Kevin Maxey from Struck Apparel. Thank you for being here, Kevin.
Hi, Missy. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here because you've developed Struck Breeches, which is a Canadian brand.
It is, and I didn't develop it by myself, I'd like to add, but it's a Canadian company, manufactured and designed here, and we're shipping around the world. It's exciting.
What prompted you to create these breeches?
The original genesis was I came back from a local tack shop with the only pair of men's breeches that came close to fitting. They happened to be forest green and maybe a size too small, but it's all they had. And Ashley, my wife, informed me that I look like Robin Hood Men in Tights. So on that day, we decided there had to be a better way. And something a little sportier. You know, it's such a traditional sport, or has been, and we'd love to see it enter this millennia and update things. So going a little more Nike or Lululemon for the riding world. So that was the original motivation.
And both of you are equestrians as well?
We both ride, yeah. We both show jump. Ashley was originally an eventer. I've been a show jumper for many years, but a pony clubber when I was a kid. And was a professional rider for many years, came back and did an MBA and thought there must be something to do in the sport that doesn't necessarily mean teaching lessons or training horses for other people, but to give back to the sport and help evolve it a little bit. So that was our original goal.
And tell us where you did your MBA.
I happened to do it at Ivy in London. Great school, go Ivy. But yeah, no, and it was a fantastic experience. They gave me lots of insight into the business world, which as an athlete before that and an academic prior to that, I didn't have a lot of experience in. So it really opened my eyes to a new world.
I was going to ask you that, how does that set you up for all of a sudden deciding to run a business in an area that you haven't previously worked in?
They don't give you a recipe, as it turns out, sadly. However, they do give you some basic skills, and it's your own drive to go figure out how things work. So neither Ashley nor I had any previous garment experience, but we were riders and knew what we liked. Then we had to go figure out how to go make that. So it was an uphill battle for sure. We joined, one of our best moves was joining the Toronto Fashion Incubator in downtown Toronto on the CNE grounds. And they helped us meet some initial contacts for pattern making and design, manufacturing locally, and we went from there. So lots of trial and error. Our first set of pants, I think, actually looked like baseball pants. They were terrible and quite embarrassing, but I think we're going to frame them someday. But through iteration and try again, we finally got down to a product that we're really proud of, but is a work in progress for sure. It keeps evolving as we learn more things and finding new innovative materials or manufacturing methods, and yeah, it's been a real journey so far.
The R&D part of it, how long was that for you?
2 years at least. We were, during that time, producing and selling, but with customer feedback and feedback from our sponsored riders and friends and family who all tried the product, we said, okay, this works, this doesn't work. One of our early finds was on the Discovery Channel. We watched, it was a documentary on material scientists, and it was these cool guys down at Carnegie Mellon who found how frogs walk up walls.
Okay.
Or geckos, rather, walk up walls, and they made a polymer substance that you could apply to textiles or robot fingers, and we gave them a call. We found the company name by Googling after watching the show, and gave them a call and said, yeah, sure, we'll try that. So we did some R&D with them, and they sent us samples. We gave them feedback until we arrived at a product that they called Gecko Grip. And we used that as the gripping surface on the inside of the breeches for a couple of years, and it worked really well. So it's that sort of stuff, like just a little bit of luck, but some perseverance and research. Yeah.
You touched on something that I always think, even as an entrepreneur, I do it in my business, which is what you started out with. You always have to keep evolving and changing and perfecting. You can't just stay with the same thing that you
can't rest on your laurels, and we see that with some of our competitors. There's some very established competitors who maybe have had the same thing going for a long time that worked really well, but if they don't keep evolving as new technologies arrive, they get left behind, and we don't want to be that case. So we keep looking forward and keeping what works, and if something can do better, we'll replace and iterate that way. And it's really important. I think our customers like that too.
Thank you, Kevin.
No problem.
We'll be right back with Kevin on London Today.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Pedestrian crossovers help make our streets safer for all road users. Drivers may face a fine between $150 and $500 and 3 demerit points for failing to obey pedestrian crossover rules. Learn more at london.ca/crossovers.
When you become a Riders Volunteer, it's always an opportunity for everybody to come together and try different things that they've never been able to do before.
What I've learned here is different skills that I thought I would never even be interested in learning.
By being here at Rogers, I can learn all these different things that will help me be stronger.
Working here as a volunteer is a good way to get to know your community It's a good way to learn how to work as a part of a team.
They're people from our community, so they know and they have a heart for our community to step outside of our comfort zone and do more.
Don't be afraid, because this is where you're going to gain the most valuable experience that you can use in your future.
I encourage everybody to be a volunteer at Rogers TV because not only do you grow professionally, you grow personally as well.
This is Rogers TV, London.
And I'm back with Kevin and Ashley from Struck Apparel. Thanks,
Hi.
guys.
No problem.
So I wanted to talk about the decision to manufacture in Canada, because as an entrepreneur, that's a big decision in itself.
Choosing where to manufacture, I agree. Huge decision. And for us, I think it was almost a no-brainer, since we didn't have a lot of experience in manufacturing anything, let alone garments. We decided to pick something close to home. So that way you can walk onto the factory floor and say, okay, this is how it's done, A, and B, if there's a problem, you can catch it early and hopefully make the change before it gets out into the wide world. And, you know, that can be damaging to a brand for sure. And it allowed us a lot of flexibility. So smaller runs, faster turns, rather than sending money and materials overseas, having it manufactured, shipped back, and having a big surprise when you open the container afterwards. So that was the initial genesis. I think going forward, we'll always manufacture in Canada. There is possibility to manufacture closer to home markets. So for, say, the European market, we may manufacture in Europe for that. However, for the time being, everything's Canadian made.
I think that's great for marketing too. People want to know that they're buying Canadian.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I wanted you to kind of tell us where you started.
Okay.
And where you've come with the breeches.
All right. We started with one model, and we call it the 50 series. And it was the original knee patch model. So we're both show jumping riders. We wanted to make something that we could wear right away and try out ourselves. So slightly, I'm not sure what you would say. I can't even think of the word. Anyways, we wanted to wear our own pants.
Yeah.
So we made something that we would use, and it was a 50 series. And Ashley's wearing them right here. And they're quite a basic, it's almost built like a tight, except a little fancier. Obviously a button and fly setup. So, and a nice wide waistband. Something that women have really enjoyed about the breeches is the wide elasticized waistband. Most of the competition doesn't put any elastic in their waistband, which seems counterintuitive if you're making a pant that's stretchy and fits tight. So our customers have really enjoyed that. We use a Swiss fabric, actually. It's hard to find any North American textiles now. So we went for the best we could find, which happens to be produced in Switzerland. And it is an all man-made blend. So rather than having cotton, which breaks down under light and washing, etc., it's all polyamide elastane.
Okay.
And that really holds up well. So we have breeches that are almost 5 years old at this point that we still wear ourselves and some of our original customers, and they still look brand new. The color, they're quite color fast, so even out in the sunshine regularly, they don't fade. They don't stretch out in the knees and bum and get all baggy, which is not the most attractive thing in the world.
Not.
No, so they hold their shape, which we really like. We innovated in a couple of other ways, so a lot of breeches typically have Velcro at the bottom to close around the lower leg to keep things tight under the tight-fitting boots that we wear. So rather than having Velcro, which can undo itself and start to scratch legs, or even in the laundry catch socks and underwear, etc., we went with a spandex and used a flat lock stitch at the bottom, which is a certain type of stitch that you would find on Lululemons or something like that, but layers of fabric rather than folded fabric, so you have less bulk under tight-fitting boots.
I found that the fabric, it's almost like it puts everything where it's supposed to be, and it slims at the same time.
We tried several different blends initially, but this one has enough structure to it that it smooths things out, and is durable enough, especially riding where you're in a saddle, and people wear them for 8 or 10 horses a day sometimes. You don't want fabric that's going to give up after 2 horses.
No.
And especially for most of our clients who ride 1 or 2 a day, they'll last for years, which we're really proud of, and our customers like too.
What was the difference in the knee patch grip on those ones compared to these ones?
So they're different models. They're actually purpose-built for different sporting activities. So in equestrian sport, as you know, and maybe some of your viewers do too, there's show jumping. So in show jumping, we're often up out of the saddle a lot, but we still have contact through our legs. So you'll see where the knee patch lies here. That lies against the saddle and where we want to hang on, basically, while we're going over big jumps, so we don't come loose. So that is the knee patch. Versus what you're wearing, we call a full seat model, which our dressage riding friends, they sit deep in the saddle with nice long legs, and they want grip and contact over the bum as well, so it goes all the way up the inner thigh and over the bum to help you stay anchored in the saddle as well while you do your sport. Yeah.
I loved the level of stick. Like, loved it. I rode in them yesterday, and it was that extra little bit of stickiness that I needed.
I'm so glad to hear that. We worked a long time on the stick to get just the right amount, and we've worked with professional riders, Olympic level riders, to make sure that we built a product that is functional. It doesn't just look good, it works with you while you're riding, rather than against you, or doing nothing at all, which wouldn't be any help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that has been the motivation behind
what
the stickiness.
Was the difference between these ones and these ones?
So these are the 60 series. So for men and women, we do a 50 series, the original model, the 60 series, which is our upgraded knee patch model, which is actually based on the 100 series, which you're wearing, our dressage model.
Okay.
So this model has a slightly different cut. So different body shapes, like a different fit. It has an innovative crotch gusset, which, not to be too graphic, but reduces a center seam that can cause friction. We'll say friction, which not everybody loves, which was an innovation we applied to our 100 series initially, where dressage riders sit deep in the saddle and their crotches rub the saddle, so we wanted a gusset there. We liked it so much when we were testing it, we decided to do a knee patch version of it as well. So that was the motivation behind that.
Well, that was one of the things I did want to touch on. Seams are really important in a breech, and I've had so many uncomfortable ones, and that's the first ride, that's what I'm always looking for, and it was clean all the way through. Like,
I'm so glad to hear that.
Feel a seam anywhere.
It's something that we discuss on a daily basis, is seaming. And it's hard for somebody with strictly a clothing design background to appreciate how much friction and what we really do in these pants, and how, you know, we get on and off horses and then sit in a saddle or not, or stand in the saddle, and where seams are going to cause problems. So even the basics, like not having an inseam down the inside of the leg, there's some companies that any other pant you would make, whether it's a Lulu or a jean or whatever, has an inseam seam. Well, that seam can be very uncomfortable when you're squeezing a horse and rubbing your legs. So finding ways to build a pant without that, you have to be a little bit creative.
Well, they are beautiful. I love that you can run around town in them. I run around town in them now.
I'm glad to hear that.
But they're an amazing breech. Thank you for being here.
You're very welcome. It was a pleasure.
Now, I know they're available in Arva at our TAC store, Struck Breeches, but you can also order them online?
Yes. We run a website in Canada and around the world, actually, struckapparel.com. Come visit. You can order anything we have in inventory, and we'll ship it straight to your door.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
And we'll see you next time on London Today.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Looking for the best way to get the Major League Baseball games you want to watch? Rogers Super Sports Pack has you covered. With MLB Extra Innings, you'll have a premium ticket to over 2,000 out-of-market regular season games, with most games available in HD. Don't miss the action from the games you want from both the American and National Leagues. MLB Extra Innings, part of the Super Sports Pack, the ultimate package for the hardcore sports fan. Order through your remote on Channel 431 today.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate? What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888-TAXI-GUY or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
You're watching Rogers TV.